And we are back. It's another episode of Joel Cupcake Unedited with your boy. It's me, your host, the host, I guess, Joel Cupcake. How are we doing, everybody? Thanks for the patience with the break. Took the week off because the election was important. It doesn't matter which side of the political spectrum you're on, or even if you choose to abstain from it. It was still important for America and society and, the world is seeing we are supposed to be the leaders of the free world or whatever the fuck the stupid political saying is. So I took the time off. It was tight. I'm well rested. I am reset. My brain is slightly more sharp than it was. I've had a decent amount of tequila the last couple of days, and I'm fucking happy about it. Anyways, have a sick guest today. My guest and I have been friends since 2004, which I believe officially makes him the person I've known the longest that I have ever had on the fucking show. So I'm sure he remembers some real fucking stupid, interesting things about me that I'm excited to get him to share. Before I bring him on in, I just want to thank all of you for checking out the show, for supporting. I super fucking appreciate it. This is my way of staying sane during COVID and everything going on. I know political stuff gets brought up. I know other shit gets brought up. I don't know why some of you still listen to me. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the support and the love and just everything. Bowie's joining us for today's episode. She's laying here in the corner in her Dior sweater that Trina's mom got her. She's fucking adorable. She hates the sweater, so she's a little mad at me right now, but I don't want her to be cold, and she's cute, so fuck it. Anyways, here we go. Greg Hampton, my fucking man.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Dude, I am great, brother. I'm even better now that I'm seeing that fucking smiling face, dude.
Oh, yeah, it's good, man. It's been a minute. It's been a crazy year. So.
Both of those things are indeed really fucking correct.
Yeah, it's just been like January was cool, dude, and then it was like end of February. Like this year's on some next level shit. That's like what everybody's been saying. It's just one thing after the other, dude, and then now it's. At least the election's over. I mean, I'm sure that's going to help out with a lot of people's anxiety. Mine. Like I was at the point where I was like, dude, let's just find out who won and let's
do it. You know what? Same with me. It was like so close. I was like, it could go either way. Honestly, like, I don't know what side of the election you stand on, and that's not important. But like, the people that agree with Trump and their opinions, and unfortunately, some of them were racist, they're more outspoken and they're less afraid to be themselves, which
is good. I mean, hey,
in some respect is good. Yes.
I mean, if you want to, there's nothing wrong with speaking your mind. I mean, sometimes you should know kind of what to say when not.
And sometimes you should know what is, or like, as a kid, like one of the things my parents really tried to teach me was like the difference between right and wrong. Which I wish more parents had the foresight to teach their kids that. But either way, people's voices, they spoke, they were heard. Biggest election ever.
Yeah, like the highest voter turnout in like 120 years, or I don't know if that's accurate. I could have sworn I saw something.
I know that no Biden, no amount of people have ever voted more for a leader than they did for Biden.
It's weird, man. Like for me personally, I mean, I don't really care. Like I'm independent, but I lean more left, obviously. And I honestly thought Trump was going to take it. Like I was telling everybody, like, I think he's going to get it. I mean, like I said, I don't care if people vote for him. That's their prerogative. I mean, if that's if they're voting like, hey, I agree with his policies, cool. That's why we have this party system, regardless of how fucked up it is, like we have it. And it's like I said, dude, the two things that stood out to me was if you look at like the population by voting, all the big, like populated regions of the country voted blue or most of them.
Which is funny because all of the like, with all the riots and everything going on based around everything with Black Lives Matter and the other political and social issues that our company's been facing. I don't want to say company. Country's been facing. Like it's pretty crazy that like those cities have been affected the most. So obviously those cities do not appreciate the way Trump handled whatever he did or maybe didn't handle. You know what I mean? And it was funny because that was actually the one thing in all the debates, I was always really disappointed in both parties when the racism question came up. Like neither of them was good with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, those debates were kind of a shit show, man. It was like really embarrassing. Like it's like I was telling you, before the podcast, like I don't really use social media that much anymore.
Correct.
I don't have Instagram anymore, but like the things I see on Facebook, and it's, somebody made a post in one of these record groups I follow.
Yeah.
And, someone was like, hey, music aside, like with all the stuff that's going on in the country, like what do people in, foreign nations, how are they looking at it? And unfortunately, like a lot of the stuff I was like seeing and hearing, everyone was talking about like, dude, what the hell's going on? That was like what the hell's going on over there in the States? And we're like, dude, we don't know either, man. Like it's been a weird ass year. So
dude, seriously, dude.
It's like it was just one thing like after the other, man. And then, and because of, since I'm diabetic, I have to watch myself, and my dad, he's a quadruple risk. So my dad's 75. He is still recovering, he's been in remission 6 months from his cancer, luckily, from his lung cancer.
Congratulations, by the way. I know it.
Thank you. Yeah, it was.
We talked about it a few months ago, but still, that's awesome to hear.
No, but yeah, like he had to get like half his right lung cut out, and then they had to like go into like his ribs and like break a couple of his ribs to get in there, and so the surgery was very painful and a long recovery process. And but now he's sick, man. He's been in remission for, like I said, 6 months, and so he has a lot of stuff going against him. So I unfortunately I only try to see him like once every couple of weeks, and unfortunately when I do, it's very limited time, because I'm already high risk as it is. I mean, luckily I've been cool. Like I got sick a couple times, and one time I actually thought I might have had it, and I got tested and like quarantined myself for a few days. And it's scary, dude, especially when you're, like I said, I get sick really easy. My immune system sucks, dude. So,
yes, it does. Yes, I've known you long enough to know that that's the truth. So.
Oh yeah, it's just been whatever, dude. And like, I feel terrible for, people in the music industry, not just the bands for obvious reasons, but, promoters like yourself and booking agents, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's their livelihood. And, and it's just there's like, bam, it's like a big, like they used to say on Lamb Goat all the time, the band hammer, dude. There's like a big band hammers, dude, on the freaking,
dude,
music. And I was like, dude, like that's it's just so weird to me that there's no shows. Yeah. Like unless you're in Trapped or Smash Mouth, I don't know, but I mean, they got to play. So hey, I guess better than nothing, even though a bunch of people.
It's better than nothing, but I do like. So I understand. I think it's funny, like this will be our last political point, and then we'll actually get to the regular show. I think it's funny that all these people that were like, fuck wearing masks, fuck Corona, it's fake, this, that, the other thing, when it was the state's decision on how to handle coronavirus, they were all like, fuck yeah. Like, there's no way this can be Trump's fault. Like, my state rules, your state sucks, blah, 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 blah. And then now with the election, every state's mail-in, early registration, and day of registration voting laws, every single state is different.
Yeah.
And those same people that were like, fuck yeah, states right, are like, why is this hard? What's the confusion here? And I'm like, dude, like you're a states' rights person. Like, how do you not understand that every state, obviously within federal guidelines, they choose how their mail-in ballot and all that stuff, they figure out how it operates. Like, so if you want the feds to control that, but you don't want the feds to control when someone tells you you're putting other people at a health risk, like you go fuck yourself. You know what I mean?
I think also too, it's it's like what we were talking about. It's like like a huge voter turnout, so they're going to have more votes. There's more people voting now than there ever was. So it's going to take a long time. Should it have taken this long? I don't know. I'm not a political scientist.
Who fucking knows?
I don't fucking know. So
yeah. Well, and the thing that's funny to me is like when they were like, how are there suddenly all these fucking votes for Biden? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, like. Trump literally told people, don't do voting by mail. It's fraud. It's all this stuff. It's not safe. So, of course, most of the votes that came in that way, like, it's common sense to me. You know what I mean? Regardless of how I do or don't feel about Trump. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so
I've always done like absentee or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I voted. The last election was the last time I voted in person. I've always done absentee.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so, but of course, like, one side of the party is not gonna, or one of the parties, I should say, whatever. I fucking hate this party system nonsense. But of course, like, one side's gonna get way less votes because that side said, don't do it this way. So I don't understand, like, what everybody being surprised and fucking QQing all over the internet. You know what I mean? Just like tears that taste so great everywhere. You know what I mean?
It's this whole thing is just so goofy, dude. It's just like,
thank you.
I was literally getting to the point where I was like, dude, I don't care who wins. We gotta get everybody together, dude. And it's gonna be a long time before that happens, especially with all this closet racist shit that's come out with people, dude. It's gonna be a while before, because people are always like, oh yeah, we gotta work together regardless of our beliefs. But it's like, dude, if you're a person of color and you're like, why am I gonna work with this person when this person said something I've been dating a person of color over 2 years.
Yeah.
And Trina's Italian, so she's kind of a person of color.
She's Italian and she's Dominican.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So it's like, I've been dating a person of color, because she's Latina. So it's like over, 2 years. So it's like, dude, I'm racist shit just makes me more mad now.
Like I have most of pinup is Hispanic.
Yeah. And
most of the people that work for me are like, we have a couple people that legitimately are from Mexico. Like, I don't mean like Mexican Americans, like Frankie and some of those people. They're like from Mexico. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like we have some people like that. I mean, you remember the place I used to live at up in the Bay? Like, my roommate was a black guy. Was a gay black guy? Was a gay, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So like when I hear, especially when it's like gay rights, trans rights, and all the racism stuff, I'm like, man, this shit, like,
right there, man.
Yeah, like, I talked to a couple people and I was like, honestly, like, in my opinion, like, it's not even a red versus blue thing. It's just America needs to make a statement that the misogynistic nonsense, the homophobic and transphobic stuff, and the racism, it has to go. Like,
it's like, the thing is, it's like, even if you don't understand like a lot of the trans everything, yes. I don't understand a lot of it, and you know what? I'm not going to, because I'm not a transgender person. But you know what? It's not affecting me at all. I could, like, you want to do that? That's fine, dude. I don't care. Like, it's just like, it doesn't bother me at all. It's just like, I'm doing fine. I don't care what gender you want to be. Like, cool, man, do your thing. Like, I'm not, like I said, I'm not ever going to understand, because that's just not, I'm a straight male. It's like, I'm never going to understand that, and that's fine.
But you're not hating. You know what I mean? You're not exactly like
they're like that.
Yeah, it's funny to me because like I don't know a lot about the culture and a lot of the stuff. So Trina has a lot of like queer friends in the community, and she's been educating me a lot. I mean, I have some gay friends, and then I found out recently that like a couple girls that have been coming to pinup shows for the last like 2 years are trans. Like they were not always women, and I would never have known, and like. I feel like that's what they want. They want to just be treated like they're women. Who cares if they weren't always a woman? Exactly. And I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, okay, that's easy to understand. Yeah, what's the problem here?
It's like kind of like reverting back to what we were talking about before we started the podcast. Like you said, you were raised to treat people with respect, and I grew up in South. Like I grew up in Texas until I lived there until I was 11, and my mom and dad are not from the South. But, that's where, my dad was stationed, because he's, ex-Air Force. And we were stationed out in Dallas, Fort Worth. And they the way they were raising me, like, they were like, hey, it doesn't matter if, you're a man, a woman. Like, I didn't even know what gay stuff was back then, because I was a kid, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Or like racist stuff. Like it didn't occur to me because I wasn't raised to see, I'm not going to see color, because that a lot of people don't like when
I know.
say that. But like I was
apparently now it's a neutral. I don't know. Like I've been corrected for saying people of color in regards to the Black Lives Matter movement because people are like, no, like they're black people and that's who's being ostracized. And like, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like
and I was raised, like I said, my mom was like, it's like doesn't matter, like if they're man, woman, gay, straight, doesn't matter what race they are. It's like we're all the same person. We just come from different parts of the world, And I was raised that way. And I remember like when I moved out. Unfortunately, when I moved out to California before I lived here in Bakersfield, I grew up in a little mountain town, Tehachapi. And I remember when I was in 6th grade, I went to a birthday party and this guy had, I'm not going to mention their names, but they were very racist names for these bunnies. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, because I was raised that like, doesn't matter. Everybody's cool,
Yeah.
This guy is like making derogatory names for his rabbits. I was like, come on, dude. Like, I never talked to that guy again.
Yeah. It's just some people, and you know what, that bums me out because I think Tehachapi, like whenever we drive through, I'm like, yo, this city's fucking cute.
Oh,
man.
Dude, I miss it a lot, man.
Like, especially living in the mountains and the hills in Tehachapi would be wonderful, dude.
No, yeah, and like that's where I lived was in Golden Hills. Like I didn't live up in the mountains, like the Bear Valley, Stallion Springs area. Like I had a bunch of friends that lived out there, but I lived in the Golden Hills area, and it's that whole town it is pretty conservative, just like Bakersfield, but it's a beautiful town, dude. Like I miss the weather, unfortunately here in the valley it's very smoggy, so you don't get to see a lot of
you have armpit weather because you're the armpit of California, dude. Like,
but in Tehachapi it's like, dude, you're 4,000 feet up and you get to see all the stars, and it's like you can go camping in the mountains, dude. I miss it. And like my buddy Mike and I used to book shows there. We were doing something. He called it Scene Sucks Booking. And he was doing it like a couple years. I think from when I was like 18, 19, and 20.
Yeah.
And like, I remember we booked Suicide Silence before they got signed. They just had their little EP out and we booked them at the Rec Center. And that thing was, dude, that was nuts. And I remember it was a Sunday night.
Yeah.
School night, and it was packed. Like I said, this is before, like Suicide House was on Century Media. This is when they had just put out
just like the self-titled EP, right?
The EP, yeah, and then they just like blew up, like. And Mike and I were so stoked that we booked them, and then like everybody at school the next day had Suicide Silence shirts, and a lot of them got sent home because it said suicide on it. And then I remember when we booked Alicia, or however the hell you want to say their name,
Elijah.
I think
it's Elijah, if I remember, if my old brain serves me correctly.
I heard Zach say we're Alicia, so it doesn't. But like, I remember, dude, like they had the 4-song demo with Triumph and Incinerate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, look at these guys are fucking sick, man. We got to book these guys. And that was fun, dude. Like, like those old shows, and like
I miss those days, man.
Yeah, I know. Like
I miss those days.
Like Mike and I were actually talking about that the other day. Freaking, it's cold here. Sorry, even it's cold in the valley.
Oh, dude, I'm wearing a fucking vest, bro. Like, we're having a coastal cold front. I had like a fucking weather warning yesterday.
No, dude, it's snowing in Tehachapi right now.
What?
And it's like 51 degrees here right now. It's great compared to the 115 degree alternative we have in the summer, But like it's. And I know you can attest to this too.
It's 5 o'clock.
Oh, I don't know why that. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Oh, it's this Mac. I don't know how to turn it off because it's not my computer.
Dude, that's fine.
It's what everybody was 5 o'clock. So it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Well, we got busted, dude. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
No, but it's like it was.
Drink them if you got them. If you're listening, dude. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
There you go. But it's like Mike and I were actually talking about like when we used to book shows back in the day, and it wasn't like what all you guys were doing up there, with like the pin-up and the stuff that you were doing before that. But it's like, it was just weird, like how much of a difference it is with like the turnouts. Even like, I remember like, dude, when we were booking shows in like 05 and 06, 04, even 07, dude, it's like people would just pack the shit.
Well, dude, fucking, I mean, I've talked about this on some of my other episodes, so my viewers probably are tired of hearing about it. I don't care. My show, they can fuck off.
That's what you do. So.
But it's like, dude, like people. You remember back in the day because you would carpool up. Like I
Yeah,
could book
yeah,
the same tour in like Salinas, Santa Cruz, and San Jose, and
Yeah.
each show would have at least 300 kids at it. And
Oh,
you're like,
crazy.
driving 45 minutes, and that's 1,000 people. And like
it was literally no promotion for those shows either.
Yeah. It was just like MySpace. Boop.
Yeah, dude. Like that's definitely one of the things I miss about it, dude. Was it was like a gold mine for bands, and it blocked the obvious.
Honestly, like, you know, when 2024 rolls around, let's just have Tom run for president, dude. Like, Tom from MySpace 2024.
MySpace back or something last year. I heard about that.
So Justin Timberlake bought what was left of the rights or part of them.
Justin Timberlake, dude?
Yeah. And I was like, they were like trying to do a resurgence, and like now you can sign up for a new MySpace, and like the layout's all different and weird. And like all of our MySpaces still exist. If you didn't delete your
MySpace, I've been on it, but like, because I remember I tried to look at the old Dog Eats Flesh MySpace to listen to some of the old songs. I couldn't do it. Like we had, I was in another band like at the same time I was doing Dog Eats Flesh called Her Black Despondency, and I was playing guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike was the singer, and Andrew, who I did Zombie Corpse Autopsy with, like he's so good at guitar, and I was still playing guitar a lot at the time. I wasn't as much, as I used because I liked being a frontman more, but I just couldn't keep up with Andrew. And I told him, I was like, dude, like the songs you're writing are really fucking sick, but I'm sorry, dude. Like you're way past my skill set, dude. I can't compete with you, and I don't want to hold you back from writing better songs because I'm not as good at guitar anymore because I stopped practicing guitar to become a vocalist instead. And Pure Volume had the demo song that I play guitar on, and I wish I would have downloaded it because now you go to play the song and it's just silent. Like none of the songs on. Did Pure Volume get shut down or some shit?
Dude, who knows anymore?
But no,
as the last 3 episodes, I just keep reminding people the world's on fire, man. Like, so who knows? But
there's a Facebook group I'm a part of. It's called the MySpace Revival, and basically they're just posting bands and stuff. And they have these guys started this site called MySpace Archive, and they have all these old bands, like their MySpace demos that they had on there. They just put up all the pre-Born of Osiris stuff on there before they were Born of Osiris, and they were like Rosecrance and stuff like that. And they just put a dozen.
Cameron, if you watch this, I'm sorry. That fucking name, man. I don't.
After the Burial?
No, Rosecrance.
Yeah, well, there's like a street in LA, I think, called Rosecrance. And remember when I was younger, I didn't know, they were from Chicago. And I was like, oh, dude, maybe that's where they got their name from. And then I was like, no, they're in Chicago, dude. But yeah, the Rosecrance.
Yeah, isn't that where Korn got their name, dude? From Korn Road in Bakersfield, dude?
No, that was after the fact.
No, I know.
No, but and then like A Dozen Furies, the old A Dozen Furies EP. And they put up the A Life Once Lost demo from 1999. And I had never heard it. And old A Life Once Lost was absolutely like chaotic before they kind of turned into more of like a groovy, like Meshuggah kind of esque band.
They found the weed, man.
Yeah, they found the weed on a great artist, dude. But if you listen to their old stuff on like Open Your Mouth for the Speechless, like,
oh god, yeah.
And then like their 1999 demo, Anthony Green is on one of the songs, and he's just screaming his ass off, dude. Yeah, I listened to it last week because I didn't even know it existed, and these guys put it up, and I was just like, what the fuck, dude? Like I didn't know this existed. It was like 1999, like. And Anthony Green's on one of the song, like demo versions of the songs. And he used to scream like, you could hear him scream on the old Seoshin stuff. He's crazy. That guy's just all around.
That old Seoshin.
Yeah, and it's like I remember, dude, like when all the MySpace stuff was coming up, and I remember we heard Animosity, on there. Life Advocate, the old black and white video of them like at a show or something like that. And it was Animosity, Shut It Down, All Shall Perish's Hate Malice Revenge, and Suffocate's Oakland. Like that was like all 2003, 2004. And that like changed how my homies and I like wrote music. We're like, okay, dude.
I was never a Suffocate fan.
I I only like Oakland when they had Jared and Carlos singing. I didn't like anything after that. Like, no offense to like Ricky. I mean, I've never met the guy, nothing like that. Like, I just didn't really. I had kind of gotten out of a lot of deathcore stuff by then, you know. So, but in like Oakland, like we played, Dog Eats Flesh played with Suffocate.
Yeah.
And I remember when Carlos, their one singer, died, and they did like a little like benefit show for him in Bakersfield, and Dog Eats Flesh played, and it was fucking. Was packed, you know, Final Burden, you know, all those guys, like
Final Burden, dude. I love that, dude.
Yeah.
Every time I'm on a podcast or whatever, like, and if someone's like, what's like a band you suggest we check out to like really, I tell people, dude, go listen to.
They did. I don't know. I mean, you probably know this, but after Processor, they did another CD called Retribution.
It like came out, and then that was when they broke up.
You can't find it. You can't find it anywhere, and you can only listen to one song on YouTube, and that's it. Like,
I think Steve Dean still has a copy of the CD.
Okay, it's like, dude, like you can't, like I said, it's not on iTunes, it's not on anything, dude. It's just one song on YouTube you can hear, and it's badass. I don't know, like maybe there was something going on with the band and they just never did anything with it. I don't know, but
yeah.
And there's actually been like a resurgence of bands trying to get that old school metalcore sound, you know, like Sanction and Chamber. And
have you listened to fucking Ko Nashi yet? Have you checked that band out?
Who?
Ko Nashi. Dude, I'll send it to you after this. You'll be like, what is going on?
Okay, and then you have like Vane or Vane FM or whatever they're called now, and Vatican's fucking tight too. It's just like all those old bands doing the old disembodied Martyr AD breakdowns.
You know, I'm a sucker for that, dude.
Oh, I know you are, and that's why. Like, I remember when we went up to when I drove up there and we were doing the A Theory music video, like in 2012, I think, or something like that.
Oh, God, who even fucking knows?
At that,
at the church.
It was a church, yeah, because I remember the floors were really slippery.
Yeah,
and every time people were moshing, everybody was falling over because the floor was so slippery and there was like no traction on the shoes.
I remember my favorite part about that video shoot is everybody clowned on me because I was like, the band is playing the song 4 times so that we have enough footage.
Yeah, I remember that.
Go crazy, and everybody was like, I remember the band, the people like everybody was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I'm like, it's not going to be done when that video turns out fucking sick.
Dude, when we did the Zenith Passage music video, you know how many times we played that song?
Exactly, dude. And I was like, dude, just trust me. 4 sets, we'll get enough footage. We'll just tell everybody to go fucking bonkers the whole time. And like that's still one of the funnest music videos that's ever come out.
Dude, all the people like having a good time and like all the pile-ons and everything.
I'm talking about an old atheist song called Oblivion for everybody listening and watching. Like, yeah, dude, go look it up. It's fun.
And it was cool when I got to fill in for him for that Ghost Inside show before the really terrible accident, and they did that. Yeah. Like, what was it called? Like the Locals Only or something like that.
It was just them and locals. Like,
yeah, that was sick. And I remember like we played, and I remember it was so cool because Garrett hit me up. He's like, "Hey, dude, like, you want to sing for us for this show?" Yeah. And Garrett and all the Aether guys were like so sweet, and they're like, dude, they paid me every weekend. I drove up there for gas money. They paid me to do the show, and it was so much fun, dude. I had a blast up there doing it, because the Zenith stuff is so fast and complex, and Zenith is like the first death metal band I ever did. I only did hardcore, metalcore, deathcore stuff before Zenith. Yeah. A lot of people don't know. Like, a lot of people don't know that Zenith is like the first like death band that I've done like live. I mean, and it was like a totally like it took like a long time for me to get those ridiculous fast parts down. Because I was so used to other stuff that was no obviously no offense, but more was slower and less complex. And when I did the Aether show, it was really fun because I was able to, move around a lot in between, verses of the songs.
Yeah.
It wasn't
like, be a front man and like get people hyped and talk shit.
I tried to do what I could with Zenith, but there was just a lot of times like just so many words, dude. It's
Oh yeah, and it's so demanding on you too.
Yeah, and it was cool. And like that 8th year show, and like is what I'm like. Somebody like held a gun to my head and said, "Okay, hey, dude, I need you to tell me like the top 5 shows you ever played." That's up there. Like I watched.
There's a video of there's a few videos on the internet of that. I think
I've only found one, and it's the drum cam one of Josh, and you can kind of.
There was one of you from the front.
Oh, is there? Okay, you'll have to send it to me after.
If I can find it, I'm sure someone from the band has a footage of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm sure. I'll ask the boys for you when we're done with this. But
and then when Helms Deep played and Taylor let me do the Moria song, like at the end of the Moria song, the "You failed me, you failed yourself." Yeah. I was like, dude, my 17-year-old self got like the jitters, like.
Yeah,
and Taylor was like the nicest guy, like.
Yeah, well, see, he still is for the most part.
Oh no, but I haven't. Unfortunately, haven't seen him in a long time. I think it's awesome that he's married now and has a kid. That's crazy, like crazy in like the sickest way. Yes. But it's cool, like that he's.
What do they say? The glow up, dude. We all get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It's like me. It's just like I started dating a woman that has a son, and he's like my stepson now, and I love him to death. We have like a family, and it's really cool. Like I can't. It's like I never thought that this would happen. And it worked out.
If you had told yourself that would have happened 10 years ago, you would have been like laughing.
Yeah, I would have been laughing like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be in like this. No. And it's cool. Yeah. And people at work ask me all the time, like, hey, dude, are you like, how's the band? I'm like, dude, it's like the worst year to be in a band. So don't even worry about it, dude. Like, you can't even do anything. Yeah. I mean, just studio stuff is all pretty much people can do now.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for everybody tuning in, if you're not paying fucking attention, Greg is the singer for Zenith Passage, but no bands exist right now. So
yeah, and I kind of also like took kind of a step back from a lot of music last year. I was dealing with a lot of mental stuff that kind of reared its ugly head out of nowhere. I got really sick and I was in the hospital. I was in the ICU for 8 days with
I remember
severe diabetic ketoacidosis, and I had 5 IVs in me and no discharge day. That was scary. Yeah. And I started getting panic attacks and anxiety attacks I never had before. And then, it was never posted on Facebook, but like my dad got lung cancer, and that hit me really hard off obvious reasons. And, I've had 3 grandparents die from lung cancer.
Yeah.
So now my dad got it. I was like, oh, great. But, like I told you earlier, he's been in remission for 6 months.
It's great, dude.
He's walking.
That makes me so happy to hear.
Dude, he's walking with
I know how close you are with your family and shit. So
it's and like I just had a lot going on, and I was just like I can't really, afford. I couldn't afford to take time off, to go on tour, and then I get a phone call. Hey, you need to come home. Dad is not doing well, and I was like, I don't. Well, luckily my parents only live 10 minutes away from me, so like I can't complain about that. Like I said, my dad was doing a lot better, but there was a little while there where it was kind of scary.
Yeah.
No, sure. And I just had like a lot of, cause I was always the guy out of like all my little group of friends that, never experienced, anxiety, I have normal anxiety, like, oh, when you're anxious for a show, or you're anxious to go. Yeah. But never like to the point where you start like hyperventilating and you're throwing up, in the morning, almost every morning.
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean.
Anxiety attacks and panic attacks are making you sick to your stomach, and to the point where you can't work. That was pretty shitty. But I'm doing, that was last year. I've been doing much better. But I kind of took a step back from music for a while, kind of just to get my mental health in check. And I did that. That Muldrotha EP came out like a long time after it was recorded. Yeah. Like that was recorded in. Oh my God. I think it was recorded in like August or September of 2018. Yeah. And I don't think it came out until like summer of last year.
Yeah.
So that and like Cody made me sound way better than I actually do. I mean,
don't downplay yourself. You're a good singer, bro.
I've always hated the way I sounded. And
that's fine.
Like I got a really bad, this is for some Zenith knowledge for a lot of people that don't know, like I got a really bad throat infection while we were recording the Cosmic Dissonance EP, to the point where we were actually recording the end of the song Zenith, and after the part that kicks in with like the main verse with the that part everybody likes, I recorded that with no voice, and I was straining a lot. And if you probably have like really good like studio monitors or like really good, like noise canceling headphones, probably like good headphones like you have, if you listen to my vocals like before that and then listen to my vocals after that, you'll be able to tell like I was straining like a lot and I didn't know what was going on.
It happens, dude.
I had actually lost my voice and I got some kind of infection. And I had to go on an inhaler and antibiotics. This was like 8 years ago. And that's why if you listen to the vocals in Kaleidoscopic, they're really like kind of like raw compared to the other songs on that EP, because I had we recorded that song like right after I got my voice back.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and I'm kind of a dumbass, and I live in an apartment. At the time I lived in an apartment, and I had a family below me that had a child, like a little baby. So it's like, dude, I can't really be like, practicing death metal vocals in my apartment with the music all loud and shit when they have like a little baby.
Yeah.
It was like, I didn't really get a lot of chance to practice. And, the only times I would really be able to would be like if I was in my car, and it's like, dude, that's not the same thing because you're sitting down, you don't have the full, lung capacity and shit, Yeah. But you can tell, it's like I hear it, I'm just like, oh,
whatever. But all the records you do with Zenith came out great, man. I've always been a fan of you, like as a person, and as like a friend. When you did those shows with the 8th Year, I just remember us being like, "Fuck, we need to find somebody," and I was like, "That's Greg," or maybe Taylor Moore's idea. I think maybe like somebody came up with the idea, and I was like, "That's fucking genius, dude." I loved it, man. Like I've always been a fan. Like like we met when you were doing Dog Eats Flesh. And like I was just the drunk guy. I was just the drunk guy that traveled with Moria. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm telling you, dude. I will. Speaking of, and this is like a total like little fangirl Moria moment here, dude. I will never forget the first time we saw them play. Taylor had black hair. I remember that. Taylor had dyed black hair.
He had black hair and his new metal earrings, right?
I don't know if he had his. I don't know if he had his new metal earrings, but it was the Nodes of Ranvier, Caliban, and Scars of Tomorrow tour. I'm sure you remember that. And
that was before I was really friends with the band.
Oh, okay.
Right before I started traveling with them.
So I know you were probably aware of that.
Yes.
And I remember like
Nodes of Ranvier is the one. Like there's like 3 bands from that era I never got to see live, and Nodes is one of those bands.
And they like real quick, like I remember Nodes had the same singer on their first 2 CDs. Self-titled was great. And then he quit, and they had some other singer, and he did one album with them, and I wasn't a fan. And then they did one last CD called like Defined by Struggle, and they had another new singer on that one, and it's really good. Like
I haven't listened to that last thing. I need to check that out then.
He's fucking sick. But so anyway, so back to Moria. So we were going to see, Caliban, Scars Tomorrow, and Nodes of Ranvier. So we all drove down from Tehachapi, came here to Jerry's Pizza, for the show. I know, Jerry's Pizza.
Awesome with the cockroaches, dude. Did you see?
I know.
Side note, I know you deleted most of your socials. Like, we went to Vegas a couple weeks ago to go visit some family because some of Trina's family lives out there. Mm-hmm. And on the way, we stopped in Bakersfield because we split up the drive because she worked a late shift.
Yeah.
And we found a hotel that like let us keep the dog with us. And then so we're like driving down Bakersfield to get back on the freeway. Like my fat ass is like, we have to find a Dunkin' Donuts for breakfast. So we did that and we're driving and I realized what street we're on all of a sudden. And we drive up and I pull by and I point and I'm like, babe, there's Jerry's Pizza. And I tweeted, doing some exploring with Trina today. I had to show her the most legendary venue in California, Jerry's Pizza. And it got so many likes on Twitter.
That place was actually was, dude. Like so many, like there used to be so many shows there. Like I like that, and it was $10. I remember that show was $10, and my homies and I all came down, and we saw okay, somebody named Moria, like okay, named after Lord of the Rings. Okay, cool, whatever. I remember. They started and they had like a bunch of guys, like a crew that rolled with them. They all had like headbands on,
Yeah.
and it's like Moria Mosh Crew or something like that. And we were like, when they played, Charlie Brown, or Red, when they had to change the name for it, like we were just like, dude, that was fucking bad. I remember like I have 2 of those demos still. Like I got 2 of the demos. Like I loved it so much. And we're like, dude, this is like, and that was when Taylor just did nothing but lows. That whole old EP is him just lows. And it's like, dude, that's what I'm saying. Like those shows are like $10. Like one of the sickest shows I ever went. It was Remembering Never opened. Then it was Black Dahlia Murder before they put out Miasma. Then it was Terror. And then it was Unearthed. And it was $10. And a giant fight, of course. A giant fight broke out because, you had a bunch of metal guys there for Black Dahlia Murder. And you had a bunch of hardcore kids there for Terror and, Remembering Never and stuff like that. And a fight broke out during Terror, of course. And of course, Terror.
It's funny because nowadays people will not fight during Terror because there's so much about like, hey, that's not what we're here for. Like, I just booked Terror a couple months ago, and I shouldn't say a couple months ago, at the beginning of the fucking year, and like they had like their set was the most energy, but it was like pick each other up, support each other, quit that shit out. Like
Scott Vogel's been doing this for a while. He's probably getting tired of assholes fighting and then their stuff getting cut short or venues getting shut down or the shows getting shut. He's like, man, fuck it, just stop fighting so we can play.
Yeah, seriously.
The security guard pulled a gun out at that show I was telling you about because he pulled out a gun and goes, everybody shut the fuck up or I'll pop a cap in all your fucking asses. And the fighting, done.
Dude,
and
hilarious.
And then a week later, it was It Dies Today opened, and they had just put out Cave of Choir. Martyr AD was next, and they had just put out On Earth as It Is in Hell. And then it was Walls of Jericho, and then it was Bleeding Through. And that was $10, And it was like, dude, it was a week, like this week was this show, this week was this show, like, and that was crazy.
Times, man, I missed that shit. So wait, so I know we've been rambling, as is the case with my show, as all my
hey, I haven't talked to you or seen you in a minute.
I know it's kind of nice. Like so I don't actually know like how did Dog Eats Flesh come? Like how did Greg from Texas that moves to Tehachapi, like how did you end up start playing music? That's what I want to know right now.
Let me tell you. Okay, so when I was like 10 years old,
okay.
I have 3 cousins, Susan, Lizzie, and Edward, and they're my mom's brother's kids, my Aunt Audrey and my Uncle Harry, and they lived in Houston, and we lived in Dallas Fort Worth, and they only lived like 4 hours away, so we'd go see them every couple weekends, and especially when my pop, my other, because I called one grandpa, the other one pop, so I wouldn't get him messed up. Fair. And he was dying of lung cancer, so we were going down there, and that was my mom's dad, so we were going down there every weekend. And I remember when I was like, this one weekend I went down there and I was like 10 and I was just fucking around on my cousin's guitar, and she was really into like Type O Negative. This was like 90. So I was 10. So this was 95, 96.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. So I was, and so she had like Marilyn Manson. I remember she had the Marilyn Manson Smells Like Children CD. And I was like, this is fucking weird. I was 10. And I remember like I had just, I know it's cliche, but I had discovered Metallica at my aunt and uncle's house. I know it's cliche, but it's the truth, and then that was like 8 or 9, I think. And I heard Metallica. In fact, Kill 'Em All is the first CD I ever bought with my own money. It was Metallica's Kill 'Em All.
First CD I ever bought with my money was Americana by The Offspring.
Oh, okay. Well, so there you go. And like my cousin had, like I said, Type O Negative, October Rust, Marilyn Manson CD, and then he goes, "Oh, you should listen to this band." And it was Deftones, and you had Deftones and Korn. And I remember she let me borrow Deftones Adrenaline and Korn's Life is Peachy, and she had one of those old badass like amplifiers where you could record like tape to tape, So she made a copy of, I know it's old fucking school, right? Double tape decks and shit. But yeah, she made a copy of Adrenaline and she made a copy of Life is Peachy. And I remember listening to them on the drive, back to my house in Texas. And I was like, oh, this is sick, So it kind of got escalating from there, and then I was really into this one, I guess you could call them, they were kind of gothic, industrial, Stabbing Westward. I was really into Stabbing Westward, that Darkest Day CD. And then I moved when we moved it to California when I was 11, and I just started getting from there. And actually, a really cool resource for me was Amazon. This was when Amazon was first starting, at least when I was first learning about Amazon, 98, 99. And I would just buy a CD on there, and it would say oh, people who bought this also bought this, and I would just check this out. And
they were one of the first companies that actually did that service, I believe.
Yeah, dude. And I would go on Napster and download a song, and it would take me 20 million years because I had dial-up. There was no, cable internet then. It was just dial-up.
Oh, trust me, I think we all remember those days.
Oh yeah, we do. Oh yeah. And I was and it would take me a million years to download a song, and I was oh, okay, let me see how this is. And so of course, if I liked it, we had a Sam Goody here in Bakersfield, and we would drive from Tehachapi to Sam Goody every weekend. Tehachapi to Bakersfield every weekend for shopping, because there wasn't jack shit in Tehachapi there is now, but there wasn't in 98, 99.
Yeah.
I would have a handwritten list of CDs I wanted, and I would go to Sam Goody and check it out. And, I wanted to play guitar. And so my parents got me an acoustic guitar, of course. And then, I was, practicing on that a lot. And then I got an electric guitar, started, getting into that. And then, I really liked Mick Thompson from Slipknot. I wanted to get a BC Rich Warlock that he had, the platinum one, but they were too expensive. So I got the BC Rich bronze Warlock, which was kind of a piece of shit because the pickups would always mess up and the strings would always break, but it was still cool to play it. And that's how I got into super heavy music. Was Amazon actually was one of them. And I kid you not, that's how I found a lot of death metal and hardcore bands. For example, one of the old Haunted albums, The Haunted Made Me Do It, has a song called Bury Your Dead.
Yes.
That's how I heard Bury Your Dead, was from that song. Children of Bodom has a song called Every Time I Die from the Fall of the Reaper CD. That's how I heard about Every Time I Die.
Fall of the Reaper is a great album. That's something I need to go back and revisit. I only listened to I think it was that album in high school. I never really gave that band the time of day, but the more I hear their stuff, I'm okay. And then I started getting into stuff like that, and then I saw Cradle of Filth live at Ozfest, and they were fucking terrible. So after that, I was young, you know what I mean? So I saw that live, and I was oh, none of these bands are ever going to sound good live. You know what I mean? But then it's and then I see fucking Meshuggah, and then I start hearing about bands like fucking Behemoth and Septic Flesh and Dark Funeral, and I'm oh, okay, I was wrong about all that.
And see, I've actually been this year for sure. I've been on a huge black metal. I've been really into black metal and Black and Death, Belphegor and Behemoth, Dark Funeral, and a bunch of stuff like that. But I remember getting into all that stuff, and I was playing guitar, and then I remember I heard Under Oath, Cries of the Past. And they have, there's a song on their first EP they did when they were super, you know about it. It was called Heart of Stone, I think is the song called. And it has this weird, Fran Drescher from The Nanny laugh in the beginning. And then it just starts off absolutely batshit insane. And I was dude, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then I heard the Killswitch Engage demo on mp3.com way back in the day, which was cool because when they did the 10-year anniversary of their very first album, because their first album came out in 2000, and then in 2005, 2006, Adam D remastered their old self-titled album, and he remastered their 1999 demo too. And it was really cool to hear that because dude, I remember when I heard that, and I remember Black Dahlia Murder's old Cold-Blooded Epitaph EP on it. MP3.com was so tight, dude. That was like the shit. And I was like hearing stuff like that, and I heard, like I said, Under Oath, Heart of Stone. I heard Zao, of course. Where Blood and Fire Bring Rest. Yes. And Killswitch Engage, Alive or Just Breathing. And I was like, dude,
probably the greatest metalcore album of all time.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I was like, dude, I want to sound like that. So over the years, like I did, the first band I was ever in wasn't even like my band. My friends wanted to form like a hardcore band, and they called it Mental Case, right? And we wrote like 4 like a minute and a half, 2 long songs. And at the time, I got made fun of a lot because of how I dressed, because I played heavy music, but I wore like this was like when the baggy clothes were kind of going out of style, I was still wearing baggy clothes.
I wore baggy jeans long after they went out of style.
Yeah.
It's funny because like that's how like all the like Joel's the Juggalo jokes started, and there was like jokes on them. I listened to you and I was like,
and the interstates and all that shit. Yeah, I had all that stuff, dude, and I was wearing those.
Have you seen that? Not to cut you off. Have you seen that Jinko sweatshirt I have?
I probably does it have the flame head guy on it?
No. Okay, so Jinko a couple of years ago they went out of business.
Oh,
and then it came back as the original like GNCO.
Okay.
And then but when it went out of business, they had a huge sale of all the stuff they haven't been able to sell over the last 10 years. And I got it's fucking camo, and then it's the crown logo with the Jinko and like the fucking dude, it's literally like the hardest thing I own. Like for sure, dude.
I think one of the
every time I wear it, people are like, is that Jinko? And then that's it. They never give me any shit after that. Every once in a while I get the whoop whoop drop to me. You know what I mean?
I think one of the hardest things I've ever seen was fucking Jared Reisdorf's Linkin Park shirt that looks like a hardcore shirt. And
dude, I love that, dude.
And I was like, dude, that shirt is tight.
I love that.
No, like I said, it was some hardcore band. It was called Mental Case, right? It was the first band I ever did. And like I said, I had like baggy, long sleeve button down, like nerdy shirts, like baggy jeans. And I remember the Warriors played. And this was when the Warriors were just like a local band playing at churches and stuff. They weren't, they hadn't been signed yet or put out War as Hell or any of that stuff. And we played, and we never had a vocalist. So our homie just came on stage and just like, did whatever. And I remember, dude, I was so nervous when I was playing that my leg was twitching like Les Claypool, like when he's playing bass from Primus, dude, like my leg was freaking out, dude. And then I remember I broke one of the strings on my guitar, the D string. So I couldn't do, power chords. I could only do like with the 2 top strings. And I was like, oh shit. But it was fun. I mean, and then the first band I ever sang for, like I said, wasn't even my band. Like my friends had this thing they were trying to do, and they had one song, and I wanted to try to learn, how to, scream. And so we did one song, and then we changed the name, which I think this is kind of like when I knew you, that Happiness at the End of a Barrel band that I did. That was like the first thing I ever did. It was terrible. And like, then we did Strength and Scars, which was basically the same thing. Like I was playing guitar and doing vocals. And that was kind of hard to do live. Like I have mad props for people who play like any kind of music, like any instrument, and they're also like the main vocalist, because playing fucking 4/4 time metalcore and doing vocals was hard for me. So I can imagine like people in like crazy tech death bands that are also like full-time vocalists and stuff like that. How do you do that shit?
Yeah.
And then like after, because String the Scars was kind of heavy. That's when we started, getting into like the Bay Area stuff, like All Shall Perish and
Animosity,
Final Burden and Suffocate, and then also Suicide Silence and Winds of Plague, when they were still called Bleak December, like all that kind of stuff. Like
nobody ever believes that story, so I'm so glad you just brought that up.
Yeah, they've even talked about that they were called.
No, they have, but like people that don't know the history of the band, they're like that. There's no way the band would ever called that. Like that's a terrible band name, and I'm like,
people also don't forget that like they had to switch it when they put out A Cold Day in Hell album, but that song Full Chamber Roulette, there's like a Crypt Keeper kind of laugh before this sick ass breakdown.
Yes.
In old demo version, when they just put out like on Myspace or Purple Line, that actually has the Crypt Keeper laugh. But obviously they that sample like in the CD they sold for money. But I was like, that was when we started getting into like, and Through the Eyes of the Dead, you know, like Scars of Ages EP. You know, like before they put out Malice or Bloodlust. This was like their first EP. Do you remember that one?
Bloodlust is like the reason I listen to this style of music.
No. I mean, the EP that came out, they had 2 EPs.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Yeah. And I remember like To Take Comfort was like an old song that they did. And that breakdown at the end of To Take Comfort was like, we're like, dude, we got to like, that's when we started writing like heavy stuff. People in our town, you know, because there was a hardcore band in Tehachapi called Die Hard Youth that I'm sure some of your listeners might know of, and they became With or Without You.
I was gonna say that name. I know that name sounds
familiar. They became With or Without You, wow, you know, whatever people want to call them. And you know, people used to give me and my homies so much shit because we were like, they're like, you don't respect what Andy Diehard. Well, his name was Andy Franchier, but everybody called him Andy Diehard. And they're like, you don't respect what Andy Diehard did for the scene. I was like, dude, I didn't even know this fucking band existed until you told me. Like my homies and I were in this side, like doing the heavy shit, and everybody was doing hardcore. And we got made fun of a lot, dude, because we were doing like the really heavy stuff. Like, in fact, I remember when Warriors War Is Hell came out, all the people that used to like Warriors, it was, they got like, at least in like where I was growing up in Tehachapi, people said War Is Hell was too heavy for them. Like I remember like, they went too heavy. Cause like there's that part in Scene Celebrity.
Yeah.
Not Slings and Arrows, where Marshall does that really long low.
Yeah, which is like, I love that.
And so my buddy James is really good friends with him. He said that was Javier, that Javier did all the lows, but I don't know if that's true or not. Someone key in if you know the sweep on that, because I don't know. I always thought it was Marshall, but my homie told me it was Javier. But anyway, people said that was like too heavy. And I remember we got a bunch of shit from all the hardcore kids in my town because we were putting too much like metal in the hardcore and
whatever. I hate that shit.
I know. And then like I remember like when Despised Icon added me on Myspace, like, who the fuck is this?
Dude.
Before they got signed, you know, they had just put out that split with Bodies in the Gears of the Apparatus.
Yes.
And that's what got them signed. And I remember like they had a song that Silver Plated Advocate. Yeah. And that was like, and I heard it on my, this is fucking tight, dude. And then I remember like Job for a Cowboy, and I was like, what the fuck kind of a band name is Job?
J-Fac Fool.
Dude, and I was like, what the fuck kind of a band name is this? And I was like, this is fucking sick.
Yeah.
And you know, we wanted to start doing stuff like that. And we used to get so much shit because we were putting too much metal in hardcore, you know, putting too much death metal in hardcore.
Yeah.
We were kind of like playing a lot of stuff that was deathcore. That was like a genre. And the reason I brought up Despised Icon is I have proof of it. It's still there on Amazon. I wrote a review for The Healing Process back in 2005, and I called Healing Process deathcore, and I got slammed for calling it deathcore. That's and everyone's like, that's not a genre. That's a made up genre. That's never going to be a genre. And I was like, well, that's just what it sounds like to me. And then it became one. And it's like, okay, well, like. And like it kind of like
you need to tell Amazon to use some royalties, dude.
I know, but see, that's what I'm saying. But I don't care that people said that. It was just goofy, you know. And it's just like, and then like, but at the same time, it was really cool seeing all these bands get popular, you know, from you know Myspace and Pure Volume, and not just you know hardcore bands, but you know like emo bands and stuff like that. You know, it was like really cool seeing bands like, because I know Taking Back. Like Myspace helped Taking Back Sunday. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And it was really cool, you know, to see all that. And it's just like the journey of seeing all these bands just blow up. Like, hey, I remember we booked them when they were nobodies, like, you know, and it was just funny. It was just so funny, like the division of like the hardcore metal shit, and then, after Strength and Scars was when I did Doggy's Flesh.
Sick.
And that was fun. It was pretty trendy deathcore, and but it was fun though. It was cool. And I think we were gonna get signed to 12 Gauge Records, I think, or something like that. Whatever one, I think Molotov Solution was on way back.
Yeah, that would have been 12 Gauge. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember our guitarist Frank was talking to somebody in there, but and I remember we had the old Doomsday EP, which we recorded in Frank's dad's living room, and then we had the Amelioration CD, which the official release I was not on. That was just Chris, because we had two singers, Chris and I, and I remember there's actually 3 versions of that album that I don't know anymore. So I had gotten, so this was spring break of 2007, like March of 2007, and I was still under my parents' dental insurance, right? And so we had booked a West Coast tour for spring break, and it got canceled. So my mom was like, hey, because I had all my wisdom teeth were coming in. I had just got my braces taken off like a couple years beforehand, and I got x-rays. And if I would have kept my wisdom teeth in there, it would have just messed up my whole mouth up. And my mom and dad were like, fuck that. We just dropped all this money, also under their insurance. Like, no, we got to get your wisdom teeth out. So the tour got canceled. So my mom goes, oh, hey, your tour got canceled. Well, I put you to get your wisdom teeth pulled. So half my spring break, I was absolutely miserable with, my wisdom teeth pulled. And 3 or 4 days after I got my wisdom teeth pulled, I had to go record the Amelioration album for the first time. And that sucked for obvious reasons. And then I remember we recorded it a second time with Chris and I on it. And something happened. I don't remember what happened. And then I remember they wanted me to do it like a third time. And I was like, nah, dude. Because at the time I was the only one in the band working.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, I can't take time off to go do that, and I was only like 19 then. I was like, I can't do that. Yeah. And then, when I was in college, I unfortunately missed out on a lot of really sick shows that came through here. Didn't really do any music until about 2011. And I did a little local band with my homies. We were called the Divergence Point. It was a very proggy. It was like not Backstreet Boys, sorry. It was between the Buried in Me meets Los Lonely Boys kind of thing.
Oh, okay, word.
Very Latin vibe to it. And we actually played with Helm's Deep, I think. They played here at some festival, and we played with them. And Aether played too. And it was cool, but there was a lot of parts where it would have felt better if I was like singing instead of just doing my normal stuff. And I don't really know how to sing now, but I know how to better than I did in 2011. Yeah, so I just, guys, I was like, you know what, dude? And we were just like playing bars and stuff. And I was like, and there was like 3 people at each show. And I was like, dude, this is like not really going to do anything. So I just left it. And like, I'm still like really good friends with all those guys. It wasn't anything bad. We were just like some local band. And I was like, you need to like get someone who knows how to sing, and not someone who just screams. And then, Justin had done a lot of bands, and Justin did The Art of Torture and stuff like that. He joined The Art of Torture like kind of at the tail end.
Yeah.
Of him, and he did like a 3-song EP with him, which has like this really sick song on it called Grip of the Lion's Paw. That's like a really sick ass EP. And if I remember correctly, Justin did those 3 songs. But I remember, Divergence Point, which was that local band, and The Art of Torture played. I think it was the same festival that Aether thing was on. I can't remember. It was like 2011, 2012. And we had a great time. And I remember, Justin was getting tired of every band, he was in not really doing anything. And I mean, I was too. And so he wrote a song which became Tombs of Trepidation. And he goes, hey dude, I wrote this song. You want to do some vocals on it? We had never we knew who each other were, but we didn't really know, friendly wise, we're just like, oh yeah, I know who he is. We played shows together, blah, blah, blah. Well, he is like best friends with one of my really good friends, Blake, and Blake and Justin were living together. And so I went over there one day and recorded vocals for Tombs of Trepidation. And I had a really good time, and I really enjoyed it because that was before I had that really bad throat infection. And unfortunately, since I had that throat infection, I have never been able to sound like I used to, because if you listen to the Cosmic Dissonance EP and you listen to the song Tombs of Trepidation, Tombs of Trepidation, compared to the other songs, my vocal performance is way more like it's much better, and it's the vocal delivery sounds way better. Same with Zenith. If you listen to the song Zenith, like those two songs were recorded before I got my throat infection.
Okay.
And I unfortunately have never been able to sound like that anymore, as much as I've tried. The closest I think I ever did was that Aether show. And that's because I had like 4 weeks of practice, like in a row. I was coming down all those weekends.
Yeah, I remember. Those were fun.
Yeah. And it's like, I was able to get my vocals like a little bit better, but it still wasn't as good as what it used to be. And it sucks. I mean, I remember I had a breathing test back in like, I think it was like 2014. They did like some breathing test on me, and they told me I had like some kind of like obstruction in my lungs or some shit like that, but I never heard anything about it after that. So who knows, dude? But I mean, and then of course, it was just Justin and I doing Zenith, for a long time. And we did like really hardcore, like DIY. Like, dude, we were just messaging everybody like on Facebook, and like, this was when they used to have a thing called like Tag Tuesday, and all the bands would tag each other and all that kind of crap. And like, I remember like the thing that really was cool for us was when we got Born of Osiris shared a song we did. I think they shared Kaleidoscopic, I think. And we were just like, oh shit, Born of Osiris shared our song, dude. Like, that was fucking sick. And then, Rob had left Fallujah, and we hit him up, and he wanted to do it. And then, we were going to get Josh to drum for us too for a while, but there's no way he could do both. And, my prime focus is Aether. And we're like, of course. And that's your band, So I was like, okay, we'll find somebody else. And then, we got hooked up with Luis, and then, started, touring. And, like I said, we didn't get to tour that, we never got to tour that much, but you know what, like, I'm really humble and grateful for all the sick ass experiences I had, the good ones and the bad ones. I mean, you can't have, everybody has, shitty experiences on the road. And I mean, we, unfortunately, the first nationwide tour we did, we were really stoked because we were going to be playing with Psychroptic and Beyond Creation, and then we ended up hooking up with Rivers and Nile. But before that, we went to we did some because this is when Justin was still in Faceless, and so we kind of did like a bunch of routing dates together up to that. That Montebello, that festival they do up in Montebello.
Yeah.
Okay, so Faceless was going to play that, and so we had some routing shows up there, and it was cool because we got to get in for free, even though we weren't in the Faceless. We were with them. And so I got to see Zao and Terror and Poison the Well and Sum 41 and The Used and Under Oath and Cradle of Filth. And dude, like, I had goosebumps the whole time I saw Poison the Well and Zao, because I mean, you and I feel the same way about those two bands. And I had never gotten to see either of those bands. And I actually have a picture of me and Dan from Zao, and his eyes are like really squinty. And do you remember the Dr. Dolittle movie? And there's that big fat lady, and her eyes are like this when she eats the crab because she's allergic to him. That's how Dan looked. And I was like, dude, are you okay? I asked him, I was like, dude, are you okay? And he said, yeah, I'm just really tired. So I mean, and I felt bad for him because I don't think he wanted to take a picture of me, but I was just so stoked because that was like one of my big influences, because like, would Blood and Fire bring rest? I heard that when I was like 13 or 14. I was like, dude, how do you sound like that? Like, it sound like that. And so seeing all these bands, like, of course, seeing Sum 41 was tight, and seeing Despised Icon, who's from Montreal, play like 30 minutes from Montreal, and hearing them, speak all in French was really sick, because that region, nothing's in English. All the signs are in French, and so it was kind of cool driving there, a little scary, but getting to see Under Oath and Cradle of Filth was awesome. That was really cool.
Holy shit.
And after that, we hooked up with Psychroptic and Beyond Creation, and we got down to Florida, and we were actually borrowing one of Born of Osiris's old vans from Lee, and I think it was Lee and Cameron's old van. I can't remember exactly. I know it was Lee's for sure because he had his motorcycle helmet in there. We did like everything we could not to mess with his motorcycle helmet. I remember that shit. And the transmission went out. And this was in the summer, 4th of July weekend in Florida. And it's like 98 degrees and it's humid as fuck. All of the automotive places are closed because it's 4th of July weekend. And we got stuck in this hotel for a week. Ooh. And it was like $100 a night hotel. And because we were waiting for this part to come in for the van. And I remember my parents paid for a night. I know Travis, Metal Blade Records, Travis, freaking sent us, money for a room, and a bunch of people sent us money for rooms. And that was really, 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 it was really cool.
I remember all that.
That was, oh my God, like that was like really demoralizing. Like we were like, fuck, should we just fly home? Like, because we were missing out on all these shows, and it was gonna get to a point where we were gonna have to be either booted or dropped off because we were missing too many shows. And so luckily the part came in. We did a 32-hour straight drive from Orlando to Phoenix.
Holy shit! I
drove like 8 or 10 hours of that from the Texas Louisiana border all the way to like El Paso, I think, or something. Yeah. And then Rob took over, and we literally got to, it was Club Red in Mesa, and it was weird not seeing Griffin. That was kind of odd. I think that was the first time we went to Arizona, and R.I.P. the father, R.I.P. the father for the father,
baby. That's right.
Yeah. And it was really weird, seeing all the apparitions guys and not him. So that was kind of odd. And in fact, I remember like I even said like, "Oh, our set goes out to him," or I can't remember what I said.
Yeah.
And it was cool, And we got there like because it was going to be some bands, and then I think the local bands, Alaska Ethos is one of the local bands there, like really cool guys. Then it was going to be us, Rivers, and then Beyond Creation. And I remember Rivers guys were so cool. They were like, "Hey, we'll play before you guys, so you guys can," because they asked us what time we were getting there. Like, "Hey, our ETA is this," and they're such sweethearts. Like, "Hey, we'll play before you guys."
Yeah.
And so, dude, I shit you not, we literally showed up to Club Red 5 minutes after, like before Rivers was about to finish. I shit you not. Like, we drove, like I said, Orlando to Phoenix. And I shit you not, dude, 5 minutes. I remember like I went in, I set up the merch, and then we played. And then we got done playing, and I went to the merch table, and it was cool. Like that was really scary,
Yeah.
Because for obvious reasons. I mean, driving 32 hours, and then we were having to add insult to injury, the battery started going out while we were driving.
Oh.
So we did not turn the van off for a whole 32 hours while we were driving. So when we filled up, we had to keep the van on, because if we turned it off,
holy shit,
there's a chance it wouldn't
start.
We'd have to get a jump. So after the show, we called AAA, and they came and gave us a new battery and yada, yada, yada. And they're like, the guy was like, "Dude, this battery's fucking dead, man." Like the AAA guys, this shit's dead.
Yeah.
And, like that was we had good times, especially going up through Canada. Yeah. We were in Canada for like a week.
Yeah.
And then we did that tour with,
Wait, hold on. Let me stop you there. We are running out of time.
Oh, yes. We rambled too much. Yes, we.
So it's okay. Instead of wrapping the show, we're just going to make this 2 parts.
Okay.
So this is just part 1.
Oh, okay.
And so you and I will have another conversation in a couple days.
Okay, sounds good.
And that'll be part 2, and then I'll do all my fun questions with you at the end of that.
Okay, sounds good.
Because I'm loving this episode. I want to talk about like the first time we met, and like Bakersfield stories, blast from the past. You've been to so many of my shows. I have a lot I want to talk about. So let's wrap right there.
Okay.
We'll remember where we paused in this story of the battery.
Yeah, the Club Red show.
Yes. I think it's a great segue.
Okay.
Hour and 15 minutes worth of stuff for people to listen to.
How many? Is there like a way you can see how many people are watching this? Or
no. I pre-record these.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I pre-record and then I release it. I release them every Tuesday. So this will be up Tuesday. It goes on like all the podcasting networks, and then I put it on YouTube for like the vlog aspect of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
So we will do a second part. We'll figure out each other's schedule. It's not a big deal.
Yes, we will.
And I have some other awesome guests lined up that are going to follow you like immediately, which you'll be really excited about.
Oh God. Okay.
Yes. So, but thank you for joining me.
Of course, thank you for having me on, man. It's so, like I said, I know.
Well, you'll be back. You're not going anywhere, motherfucker. You'll be back. Just remember. Yeah, everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'll have links to the one remaining social media site Greg uses down below. I'll try to dig up some links for his old bands for you guys to check out and shit. See Greg and I'll figure out what's still online. This is part 1 with Greg Hampton. We will be back for part 2. Greg, I fucking love you.
I love you too, man.
I'm so ready.
I'm looking forward to part 2, dude. I'm looking forward to what
it's going to be good. It's going to be good, dude.
Okay.
It is going to be good. All right, everybody, be sure to hit the subscribe link down below if you're on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, just keep on listening. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Greg and I will see you guys next week.
See you later.
Yeah.